I love this community. I love very many of the people in it from afar. I don't know them. I'd like to know them. I've met a lot of people. You know, you don't know anybody until, you get a lot closer. Most of the people that we know, we only know on a surface level anyway, because that's all most people will ever show any of us. And I think it's very good that DOA point out the parasocial nature of these things. Absolutely, it's a good concept to keep in mind, especially if you're dealing with the internet. And that I don't know these people, and I only know what they're presenting through the screen. And the line from the Tool song goes, "All you know about me is what I sold you," right? So I don't claim to know these people, but I do love their spirit. I love what they're putting out. Good morning. Good morning, Stephanie Bonner. Woo! So, been driving out to Denver here, watching the SPTV stuff like I do usually on my day when I'm not drumming, and I'm not drumming right now. And after watching a bunch of stuff this morning and last night, I'm starting to be insulted personally. And I'm starting to be insulted for what we went through in Chicago and how it's being represented in different places, in subtle ways, and to me, not so subtle ways. And while I agree with the sentiment of kindness and compassion, and that a way of reaching people is through those methods, and that it is effective, it does actually reach people. Absolutely. Absolutely. You meet people on the same human level. You meet people, you display your humanity to them. And in so doing, they can see that you really do not mean harm, and that you're here to do some good. But that works very well interpersonally in a kind of closed setting. But in a protest movement, in my experience, when you're dealing with an organization that is so well funded, politically protected by the police, that they're willing to deploy, and especially protecting practices like the ones we are all out here to destroy: child trafficking, extortion, blackmail, fraud, the corruption of local and state government officials. Being nice never solves that, ever has. Okay? Because, perhaps you can get people on the ground. You can get a few people. You can get functionaries of that system. Piece at a time. One at a time. Those people will be replaced, right? In order to defy these things, you must defy the systems that protect and operate these things. And to do that, you can't be nice. You can't afford it. Okay? So coming from the space where I'm on the street trying to, fight for minorities' rights, fight for, attention for an AIDS epidemic, or to stop a war, That's my experience. Okay? And nice doesn't cut it. Doesn't cut it. Okay? Like, even Martin Luther King Jr., the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., his approach, now, you might mistake the tone of his voice for kindness, but if you read his speeches, they are tough barbs directly in the eye of the state, of its oppression, and of the complacency of the people and their degraded human state of allowing this to happen. Okay? Now, very many other people in the movement had harsher words and a harsher tone. Even people around him, I think John Lewis even, was a little tougher. And he was a figurehead, and he was able to communicate this broader message and bring more people in. But again, the fight wasn't nice. It wasn't nice. It can't be nice. It was inconvenient. It was loud. It was disruptive. And it was met with all of the force that they could muster. All of it. Right? And those peaceful protests, once the assassinations of the late 1960s came to their climax, and a lot of those figureheads were in the ground, head of the Black Panthers, Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Bobby Kennedy. Bobby Kennedy was going to win. He's going to win. He's going to win. African American community was completely behind him. He was going to win. He was like minutes past winning California that evening when he was shot. Okay? That is what those systems have on offer for people that offer real resistance to them. Death and destruction. And if you know this history, like the like niceness only method, and the reason why I get angry about this is because it seems that the methodology of the people who are out in Chicago, to me, is being denigrated right now. And I don't care. Good morning. Good morning. I don't care if I'm unpopular for saying these things, for being a little sharp and spiky, because, well, I think for everybody's safety who's going to be out on the street, because we need the protection of the entire community. If that method, if it's a little too harsh, or you get a bad feeling off of it, and that's like that maybe indicates that you're watching these things for perhaps not all the correct reasons in my mind. Okay, because these things do feel bad. They are bad. We're fighting a great evil, and speaking up, being loud, and being somewhat aggressive on the street is not a bad thing. It's not. I've seen it get things done, save lives en masse, over and over and over and over again. And what I see, the flower children who have all the best intentions will chip away at the corners, and that's effective too. But if we only do one or the other, we're lost. If we only support one side or the other, if we're going to denigrate the actions of one side or the other, and both of them being effective, we're not going to be as effective as a whole community. It's a holistic approach must be reached. And what I'm hearing from certain sides of this community is just, it's breaking my brain. It's breaking my little brain this morning. And because I feel as though the efforts of the people who put their lives on the line day after day in Chicago, one of the most corrupt and violent police forces in the country, who wanted to destroy all of us, who were looking at all of us like a piece of meat, who definitely wanted to destroy me, are being thrown under the bus. And I can't countenance that for one moment. I completely disagree. I completely disagree. And I think that kind of talk is dangerous for the people who are willing to go and stick their heads into the mouths of lions while other people mock them for doing so. I think that's dangerous. However, so slight. Now look, I've been around a lot of this. Like, I had family that taught at Kripalu. I know yoga. I've been able to have no thoughts for an extended period of time. I've done the meditation. I can still, I'm 46 and I don't practice, and I can still full lotus, right? But if it's all light, there's no contrast. And if you're afraid of looking into the dark places and waiting in there, then the people who are in the darkness will be forgotten there. They will be left there. And I said this last night. There's a certain kind of person, this guy, and many others that I know, that are so made that they cannot express their compassion in that way. They've had too many personal, tragic life experiences to have it come out that way. It's just not made that way anymore. Life will break and bend and fold you into many different shapes. And I just want to accept all of it. I want to see, this pure love and compassion crew or whatever, and there's overlap, and I don't want to put anybody in a rough category. My displeasure is at a certain style of discourse that I think is, to me, it's wish thinking. Wishing that, good intentions can win the day against, power, money, and influence. And sorry, whatever your good intentions that you put on people, they plunk down some money and power, and that all evaporates for 95% of the people. Okay, so I wish it were different, and I wish it were. And for some, like I said, for some people this is effective, but for movement, if it's all just we're going to, it makes me think of the Abby Hoffman protest when, the Yippies used to do this kind of stuff, but as absurdist theater, dedicated to levitate the Pentagon, that kind of stuff. That was hilarious. Abby Hoffman, I don't agree with everything, but that was hilarious. That was the funniest thing ever. Because it's that's like Frank Zappa humor. He's identifying this thing in the culture, this mode of being that people are engaging in, and then just spinning it up into high hilarity. And there's a whole lot of that. But if you can do it in the moment when you have this emerging social consciousness about it, right? I think about the people that I know that were on campus for Kent State, right? You're going to be real nice to the National Guard shooting people down with 30-06 rounds, right? Yeah. Let's be nice. Let's be nice. Oh, if they weren't so mean, then those National Guardsmen would have shot them dead, right? Or something is where my thinking goes when people start to talk like this, and I start to go crazy. I'm like, you're actually putting people at risk when you're asking for people to only pay attention to this, or if it is in you to only pay attention to this, and it looks a little hairy and people are yelling and upset on the street, well, then you're going to ignore the minorities. You're going to ignore Black Lives Matter. You're going to ignore righteous anger on the street for like generational wrongs. And I don't have a whole lot of patience for that because I've seen directly what that leads to. And it's not good. It's more suffering. It's people being left behind in the dark because they can't be seen. And I just, my friends are the bent, are the broken, are the damned, are cursed, are the throwaways of society, okay? And I've said it before. I cannot help but be the voice of my dead friends howling from the grave for better treatment and better action and more attention in the places where they got lost, where people are afraid to look because their heart rate goes up a little bit, and it's not all oxytocin. They get a few stretch chemicals, and they're not used to assimilating those feelings into proper action. And if you're going to stay into any one of these things, honestly, it's why things don't change. It's why things don't change. Colorado's kind of liberal or whatnot, but the worst prison system, the worst cops, the worst judges is because nobody fights in Colorado. I used to live there. Nobody fights. There's a lot of talk. There's a lot of hippies that talk about stuff. Nobody fights. Nobody offers real resistance to those systems, and so they just go on killing people. They just go on unduly imprisoning people for ridiculous sentences. They just go on having one of the highest incidences of overuse of solitary confinement in the country. And it just goes on. And so maybe it makes you feel better. Maybe it feels better for you for the day. But for the lost and for the cursed and for the damned and for the throwaways of society, it does them no favors. None. And again, this is my perspective, so I'm talking more about my perspective. My introduction was trying, and I'm circling back around. I have acceptance, and I have real respect for all of the styles. I really do. I really do. But the talk that I'm hearing, unfortunately, from one side is exclusionary. And that's what I take issue with. Exclusionary of a certain style of, say, the protesters in Chicago. And in so doing, denigrating their efforts, and I can't stand it. I cannot stand it. I feel I made lifelong friends down there, and I went into battle with people, and we came out clean because we did what we needed to do, and we didn't make mistakes. And it was dangerous, and it was hairy, and it was emotional, and it was taxing, and it took more days off of us than we spent, maybe 2 or 3 times as many days off of our lives. Who knows? I don't know, but I'm willing to spend that because the result was we got people's attention. We got the neighborhood's attention. We got the business owners' attention that weren't already paid off. We got some of the cops' attention, not all of them. They were just like, geez, this is really crazy. And yeah, Commander Harris is a real jerk. We know that, but it's a bad look for all of us. And we got those college kids' attention. They're already producing their own stuff. They're going to be going after that organ, making fun of them. It's going to be hilarious. This next year is going to be hilarious. With Columbia, those artist kids. And so part of what I'm doing is I'm out there, anybody can see me, you can hear me down the block. What's going on? And people came up and they had long, extended conversations with me. And I try to show them, yeah, you can hear the thing, and then if you're up close on me, then we're, because, generally, if I'm not fighting a child trafficking cult, I try to be as nice as I can to everybody. I screw up. I'm emotionally weird. I screw up all the time. but like, this full fury mode, this is for, this is when I'm fighting evil. And I try to demonstrate to people that it's a switch. It's a switch that I can just, bip, 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 and I'm just made that way, or I made myself that way. I don't know. But a comment I made previously is that it's probably not a good idea to speak in hushed tones and say, "I'm sorry, but excuse me, but you notice that there might be a piano about to fall. Oh, you're dead. Whoops, sorry, I was trying to be nice." Working in construction and working on stages most of my life, use whatever swear, whatever's going to get that person's attention and be as loud as you can. Or don't even say anything. Just put your body in the way and grab them and pull them out of the way of the thing if there is no time. Because sometimes there is no time. And so when it comes to stuff on the street, when it comes to protesting, when it comes to fighting evil like this, I'm seeing pianos about to fall on people's heads. That's my perspective. And that's what I'm bringing to the table. And I feel that this happy talk about nicey nice just in an exclusionary way is denigrating my efforts, and honestly, like, it puts people at risk. It puts those of us who are willing to actually do some more of the dangerous side of this more at risk than we need to be. And so I felt that I had to come on live, and I say so I just had one of my friends from Colorado. I'm going to have to call her right back. She's probably going to work and asking where I am, so she knows what's up. And I don't want anybody to think that I don't respect the people who are saying this. I really do. I really do. I really do. I'm a fan. I'm a super fan. And I know that I can learn more how to be more compassionate from these people and learn a better way. I want to be refined by all of this and find my middle path through this. Because my way is not the way. It's not. It's not. I have the information that I have. It's finite. It's a small slice of what all of, perhaps our shared reality is. I don't have the answers. It's my opinion, though, that, I've already said it, this kind of talk, and especially just casting a blind eye to the toughness that exists in some of these corners, it's dangerous. And I just wish they wouldn't do it. I wish they wouldn't do it. It's a mistake that I've seen a lot of people, like, again, family who's like the toppity-toppity-est yoga instructors who are really in this mode way more than anybody that I've seen in this movement. I grew up around it. I know what this is. And I respect there's a point in time, especially with stuff like this, that I just, it can't just, at least for me, it can't go on without mention. And I just didn't want to keep this up in my head and arrive in Denver without getting this out of my head and kind of expressing my true intentions. And rather than, like, because I don't want to be frustrated. I don't want to bring anything like that to the people who I want to be supporting. because this isn't town anymore. I lived here for a brief period of time, or this state, and I didn't even live in Denver, right? I just worked in Denver. So, again, like in Chicago, I'm going to be asking questions. I want to take people's lead, and I don't want to blow up their spot, and I don't want them to be made any more uncomfortable than they already are, or to put undue heat on them, anything like that. I'm going to just defer to the style, because I can do that, and I can have some of my own stuff in there too, my own thingamabob, but I'm the drummer in the band, right? I never put myself out front. I'm the stage technician. I like playing supporting roles. And that is my intention. The whole time is support. And so yeah, no bad blood, no bad intentions, no, I am concerned with this talk though. I am concerned with this because I believe it to be counterproductive in a few ways and dangerous. So it's my morning 2 cents right off the top of my head. No preparation, no notification, no nothing. Something I just needed to say to I was going to say it to the air. I feel that it might have been more useful broadcast to more people since I believe it. Hell, I could be wrong. I'm often wrong. And I welcome whatever criticism. I'm sorry that I haven't been reading the chat. It's glary as hell. My screen brightness all the way up, and it's still impossible to read. So thank you all for tuning in. If you liked it, I guess I'll find out later if this was something that was accepted by this community or not. Or if I've just really ruffled a lot of feathers and made a total fool of myself. I'm not sure. I count myself a fool, generally. Yeah. So, I love you all. Respect to all of you who give of your time and your efforts to this community in any way, shape, or form, especially those that protest and show up, but especially the survivors. Thank you so much for leading the way, and it's your stories that I think are going to be the thing that are going to lead more people out. More people out. If some of the people that are in are daring enough, or to get the opportunity to see some of your stories, I think that, for me, that's why I'm out here. Those stories, that's why I'm out here. Aftermath show didn't get me out here. Louis Theroux's movie didn't get me out here. Going Clear didn't get me out here. Those stories got me out here. Stories of those survivors. All the survivors. All the respect. Thank you. See you soon.